Gotta brighten my day somehow, you know? Pretty sad times. Man, I'd take one day off, and look what happened. I might never take a day off again, you guys. In the bottom left here, I don't know if it's big enough on your screens. But Mortdog did a cool video. He released an hour-and-a-half video. I watched it, where he basically gave in-depth thoughts about the upcoming patch. And at the very end of it, he said that as a bonus thing, which is, I don't actually want the bonus thing, but he said that he's stepping away from the bonus stuff, that he's not going to interact on social media anymore, that the videos that we've come to know, the patch rundowns, it's not going to happen anymore. And then he also is likely not going to stream because, in his words, and I'll show you guys, the level of animosity towards me has reached a point where I can't justify all the extra time I commit. And that is really sad. This is a really, really sad moment. And I think that one thing, there's a lot of things I want to say about this, actually, before I start for today. But the first thing that I'll say is that this is just a terrible thing. This is probably one of the worst things that could happen to TFT, period. Hear me out here. I don't know where to really start, actually. I think the first thing is that this is just a net negative for the game, right? So if you care about TFT, the game, I'm not talking about TFT, the state of balance. There's a whole conversation we can have on that, right? The state of balance, I mean, we can get to that in a little bit. But if you're talking about the future of TFT, this just makes TFT a little bit darker, just in general, because Mort is that bright of a light. And I understand. First of all, I will say that if you're a Mort hater, there's a lot of people that I read, and I actually had to go through a lot of comments and even talk to Discord servers. There's a lot of people that argue me that this is a really good thing. It's for the best, which maybe it is, but this is a good thing for the game. I think that you completely miss the point of why Mort's involvement is really important. First of all, just look at the outpouring of love. This might be my most engaged social media post ever, which is kind of a lot because I didn't even really expect that to be the case. But the first is just watching how many people who aren't from TFT get involved in the conversation and talk about what they loved about Mortdog, because I think that's where people really lose perspective. People who have their noses pushed to the screen don't really understand the impact that he has, both for the game directly on a daily basis, on a per patch basis, but also for what he represents to players and to gamers and for people who touch TFT adjacently, right? There's people who see what Mort does, and they want that for their game. He's sort of like I know it sounds crazy, right? This is stupid. This dude isn't All Might from My Hero, but he's sort of like the symbol of peace, so to speak. Because a lot of people look at Mort and they say, well, here's a dev that can do it differently. How many times are you guys looking at stories and posts about bad dev relations with the community, right? I'm a fan of the FGC. I'm looking at the way Harada is interacting with the Tekken fan base and the pro players, and it's kind of a train wreck. How many times are you looking at the latest stupid thing that Activision Blizzard has said about player base, right? When it was like, don't you guys have phones, or you think you want it but you don't, right? Some of these infamous moments. It's just nonstop, a smattering of just like how out of touch can these people be. Now, that's not to say, and I will get to it, right? I actually have a lot of things I wrote down, right? I things I wrote down that I want to talk about. That's not to say Mort is perfect, okay? So before the people push their glasses further up their nose and say, well, you know, hi, are you okay with all this? Okay, that's a little bit condescending. I want to try to, I just want to meet people at this level. I want to take that tone out. That kind of tone is exactly what people hate about Mort, where it just feels like he berates and belittles a bunch of people. And he did do that, and I'm going to get to that eventually. But the first thing is that this is devastating for the people that were brought in because of Mort and were enabled by what he did, both as a dev and also a person that just loved TFT, right? The number one thing that gets me is that I think that without a doubt, he is like the most passionate, on the ground lead dev of any live service multiplayer game out there. Like, you could argue that other people do things similar to him. Like Freak does stuff, right? August does stuff within even the Riot ecosystem. But there's no one that really goes to the length of Mort that has sort of the chops that he has, right? Because it's like one thing to have a community manager do what he does. Like, there's people who do the PR and we hear you and responds to the feedback and is considered awesome. There's actually people within the TFT esports system that do that, right? Like, some of the people that I talk to from community managers, they do a great job. And I do feel heard by more than just Mortdog. But he does that. He does that 7 days a week. He does that with the ability to also change things, right? Because Mort hears this stuff. He can internally go to the right people and try to get it done. And then also have the ability to do that while still maintaining the 30,000 bird eye view of what TFT is both now and in the future. And he does all this while publishing the content on his YouTube and putting all that content out also on Twitter and whatnot. So he's doing that all essentially for free for you guys to consume as well. And of course, again, there's going to be people who say, like, well, he's benefiting from it. Not one person should hold all that power. No one person should hold all that power. I do think that is actually a real thing, because Mortdog is, and I wrote it down, Mortdog is TFT PR. He's the lead dev. He's both the present and the future, both in balance and design direction. He apparently is also the center of where you go to if you report bugs, if you have complaints about monetization, if you want to talk about esports, right? Every problem with people have with esports and tournaments, apparently they go to Mortdog for this. If you have issue with cosmetic and art direction, people once again tag Mortdog and flame him. There's people literally under the post talking about, like, well, yeah, you know, I still have a problem with the battle pass. And it's like, well, this is not where we talk about it. But again, he's a person that is centralized to that. And of course, the balance and bugs and everything else like that. People go to him for everything. And that's actually a flaw. That's actually a flaw of why potentially stepping away is a good thing. Because the reality is he's a conduit. He's a lightning rod. Everyone just goes to the Mort machine. I make jokes all the time. Like, you know, in TFT Academy, right? I think I wrote a guide in TFT Academy, like, what happens if, you know, you low roll on your roll down. I say you can always reach out to the Riot support hotline, which is twitter.com/Mortdog. That's how integral he is for communication, because we get the impression that Mortdog is listening and that he cares. And I think that is a huge loss, basically. Like, Mort stepping away is going to make things feel really empty. I'm part of a Discord server called Lobby 2, and this is a Discord server with a lot of challenger players and Riot. And over the years, it started off as like a place for Riot to just talk to challenger players at the beginning of TFT's lifetime. This is going back to set 1. And in set 1, it was kind of a cool kids club, but more specifically, what made it interesting was that you could talk to the devs and they would respond. But when we say devs, it was really like Mortdog doing 90% of the arguing with Milk and Dasik. And players like that. Like, there was a lot of other people he argued with, but he would just basically be there arguing on a daily basis about the meta game, right? And this is where sort of the origins were with Milk versus Mortdog and all stuff like that, because of what happened in Lobby 2. Fast forward to sets 13. When did we ban augment stats? Was it last set? We banned augment stats again for the second time, which is its own can of worms. Let's not talk about that too much. But then people rightfully called out that Mortdog is still talking to challenger players in Lobby 2 about the game, and they feel like that's unfair because Mort is very open book. You ask him, if you are a person of notoriety within TFT and you talk about certain things, you could actually incite Mort to give you information about the game. And I do agree that is I even brought that up. I said, I don't even think that it's fair that some players get access to talk about Mort or talk to stats about Mort or like the things about the game to Mortdog. And he's because he's so open and he wants to talk about the game. He loves talking about TFT. It's not fair. So he left that Discord. He said, you're right. He actually specifically responded to my message. He said, you're right. And also, I don't want to have to deal with this too much. So I'm just going to go ahead and excuse myself. So he actually left lobby 2. And I actually feel I have to be careful about this. Let me go ahead because I don't want to technically incriminate, but I could show you pages of a desert wasteland where I'm just going to go through it. But if you just look right here, this is lobby 2, right? It's Ging, Pottybo, Keyun, Disto, Rainplosion, Darth Noob, Disto, Rainplosion, Goobums, Keyun, Rainplosion, Disto, Rainplosion. They're just talking and nobody's responding. It's just yapping and yapping. And I'm still scrolling and still no one's saying anything. And that is a future of what it's like if people like Mort step away, aka it's pretty much just Mort. I mean, there are some people who do that, right? I do want to say that some people from Riot did end up responding, but the whole point is Mort would go the extra mile to make sure that kind of comms didn't go unanswered, that the players felt hurt. Now, I understand, again, I'm going to get to that point. I'm going to understand that it felt like wrong that other people could get access, or like it didn't feel fair to people that you had to go to a stream and whatnot. I mean, that's a whole thing, but we lost something. We lose something really special because this is what made TFT unique. This is what actually makes TFT a game that people like to play, that want to play. I know that sounds crazy because he's just one person, but it's not about what Mortdog is doing. It's about what he represents. He represents the fact that TFT was a dev team that wants to hear what you have to say, that is on the ground, that loves talking to the players. And I think that sentiment is going to shift more and more because if Mortdog steps away, who is going to fill that place? And I think almost no one will because nobody wants to. Addendum to what I just showed you with Lobby 2. Mort left, and I think within like 2 to 3 days, everyone started tagging Eniko instead. If you guys don't know Eniko, he is a former pro TFT player that got hired, right? This is like one of the challenger players that Riot took on. He hit rank 1 even as recently as like over the holiday break recently, like 6 months ago. Eniko was he's like our next bridge, right? Because he was one of us, and then he went to Riot. Was it 2 years ago now? He left the Discord within 2 to 3 days because he just couldn't handle. I think milk tilted. I think he literally just said, like, I think he just like, I can't handle this anymore. He actually left the Discord. He couldn't even last 2 to 3 days. And you're talking about like Mort, who actually lasted for 6 years. You're talking about a LeBron James level of longevity of being able to withstand. Like, imagine LeBron got fouled like Shaq every day for 6 years. Eniko couldn't last for 3 days, man. He couldn't even he left the Discord. So that's why the Discord server, the channel, right? The channel that we talked about. That's why it's called Meeting Without Eniko. It's a meme because originally it was like, well, let's meet with Eniko and yap about TFT and talk about it since Mort's not here. Well, guess what? He left. He couldn't even handle it. So you're talking about like who? So when I say there's a giant gap, it can't be understated about like what he fills. And again, it's not just like we could have any community manager step in there, but it's the fact that he has access, that he has so much influence, and that he really understood it as well, right? There's community managers that come and listen to you, but do they play the game? Maybe not, right? Like there's a lot of people who are passionate like TFT, but more for all the faults of like he plays on PBE, he's dunking viewers, he's not like top 1500 LP challenger. He really did his best to understand every type of player, not just the challenger players who are very engaged, to say the least, who are constantly upset about the current game, but he also tries to understand the diamond player that wants to hit Masters for the first time. He also understands the struggle of new players. He also understands the struggle of people who are returning, people who haven't played TFT in years, and he has to convince them to come back. And believe it or not, Mort's involvement is sort of like this back of the mind thing of like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm tired of Path of Exile devs, right? How many people here are playing Path of Exile and feel like that GG doesn't get it, right? They're sticking to their vision of PoE too. I got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments, both from this and quote retweets and everything like that, that I just went through last night because I was like mourning a death. I'm wearing black today. I'm like mourning a death of people who just say that like they came back because they remembered that TFT cares and that Mort cares, and that's just sad. That's extremely sad, and we lost part of that. And who knows? Maybe the break ends up lasting for only the rest of the set. My hope is that he takes set 14 off, comes back set 15, and that we can kind of go back business as usual, right? The yapping, the patch notes rundown, Mortdog flaming me in chat. He doesn't really flame me. Mortdog flaming milk in chat. Topic number 3. I can't tell you a lead dev that loves esports to the level that Mortdog does. Bro, this guy cares so much about the competitive scene in TFT. Like, I come from Activision Blizzard from Hearthstone, right? I had to deal with devs who resented the esports side, who just like they understand that it's an important part. They love their player base, but it's kind of like you love your kids, but you really want to punch them sometimes or like yell at them, right? The parent that like is getting driven insane by their kid, by their uppity, terrible 2 toddlers or whatever. The idea is, there's a lot of like love hate with that. Mort just like loves the competitive scene. He just really loves it. There's a lead dev that cares about esports this much is extremely rare, man. This guy not only of course promotes it, he also co-streams it. He joins my co-stream. He co-streamed it himself. He tries to pull in other Riot devs to be involved. But Mort also like promotes the stuff. Part of it is that he rates me. He's also like signal boosting things like who wins, right? I don't know how many of you guys know that this past weekend, Snooty Boo won the Tacticians Cup #1. Snooty Boo's been a guy. This is his first tournament win. It's a big deal to the Spanish community because Spain is very passionate about TFT. They don't get as many people as getting attention compared to like France and whatnot. He's like really involved all the time. He doesn't have to do this, but he's really, really involved. He's watching tournaments. He's in chat talking about people. This guy really loves it. And that means a lot to me personally. I know that a lot of you guys in chat might not care about that. But to me, it is so rare that someone this influential, the lead designer team that is this passionate about the esports scene, because they're usually fundamentally at odds. Catering to the esports player base has always been the most frustrating thing for devs because those players break the game. They play so much of it, and they are the loudest and most vocal and complain the most. And they also notoriously sometimes spend the least amount of money too. So it's like the players that give you the least ROI, the most pain, the least bang for your buck, and yet they're the loudest. They are the most toxic. They tend to be. Because they are hyper engaged. They play 10 to 12 hours a day and they hate it, right? And or they say they hate it. And then the worst part is they're like also influential. It's like, it's one thing if they were just loud, but like everyone ignored them, but they are influential, right? They talk about how terrible the game is. There's so many examples. I can draw from my experience, but there are many times where I have heard devs wish that their esports program were less important. Because it's almost like they don't get to make the game that they want. They have to like make the game that like some devs think it's cool if it's like this hero, for example, is way stronger at this, but then they have like noticeable weaknesses. But then people complain that it's badly balanced or things like that, right? I'm talking about like just in general, like game design. It's just so rare to see someone care this much about it, and that makes me really sad as well. The reality is, the truth is, the competitive scene is worse for this now. That is true. It's 100% true. Mort also gives free coaching to devs, which is also, this is not TFT esports related or anything like that. I don't think I have to harp on that even more. Mort gives free coaching to devs. He posts blogs about the game dev process. There's a lot of people that look up to Mortdog from a perspective of, I want to get involved in games one day. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that I think he's their role model. He's sort of like the beacon of hope for them, right? I keep saying that word because a lot of people feel like game dev is sort of at an impasse where they have to sacrifice and compromise things, right? It's almost like if you get into game dev, yes, you have to do that, but you have to exploit the player because that's what, everyone loves gambling now. So you have to exploit player behavior. Yes, you're a game dev, but you can't make the game that you want because you have to appease the suits and things like that. Yes, you do, but you can't interact with the community because you know, you represent the like. I did a series of interviews for a pretty famous gaming company. I almost joined. I don't want to say it just because I don't know. Maybe I need a job soon. Maybe TFT goes under and I'm going to be applying for jobs at Wendy's or some game dev, but I'm not going to reveal it. They said specifically that they would never. I got to the final 2 candidates. It was a job that I actually at the time really thought I wanted. I really love what I do now. This was not too long ago. This was actually a couple years ago. They said that because I've ever had a public persona, like because I was Frodan, I could literally delete my account and everything like that. But because I was Frodan at one point, they can't accept me. That was the difference maker between me getting the job and not. And that attitude is actually quite commonplace amongst many game devs. They want their people to be faceless and not engage with them. They want to create this like divide because they don't want to ever have people cross over because of many reasons. Many reasons. The first is that they don't want to make one person feel bigger than the company. And again, that's an argument that I'm sure a lot of people are going at. Mort became TFT is too dependent on Mort, and I'm going to get to that, I think. But a lot of people view him as a role model that can defy that kind of stuff, right? As a dev that can go against all that. So Mort is a person that not only does that, but he shares his experience as a game dev. He gives advice to a lot of other people who are aspiring to kind of go into game dev, and he wants other people to be good at it. It's extra credit. It's everything. The whole thing that comes down is just all the extra stuff, right? He said, what did he say here? I'm stepping away from the extra stuff. It's true. These are the things that he did that are extra. It's on top of, because in the end, he has to deliver a good game. He has to make sure TFT succeeds, and I think he's doing a pretty good job of that. At least him and the whole team. It's not just Mort; it's everybody there. But he goes above and beyond, right? This is me acknowledging what he did to go above and beyond. Also, the last thing I want to say is that I'm biased. I'm very biased. Andrew, thank you so much. Sure, guy, thank you so much as well. I'm very biased. So if you come here and you're like, Frodan, you're obviously very biased. I fully acknowledge that, and I want to own up to the fact that a significant portion of my success as a content creator in TFT is because of Mortdog. Mortdog showed me a stat of how many times he rated me last year. And Mortdog's one of the biggest streamers in TFT. It was a lot. So I do fully acknowledge that I'm biased because like he basically helped me get started when I took TFT streaming very seriously. I'm not sure what else to really say besides like, I mean, that's part of it is that I've also gained privilege of access to conversations with Mort because he's become sort of my friend. And there's even more things that I feel like I shouldn't share because I'm only sharing stuff that's public. I don't want to share things behind the scenes of things that I've also witnessed up close and also heard stories about of why I think this is a big deal. But there are also like these are just things that are public facing. And as you guys know, there's always things going on behind the scenes, but I think I'll stop there. I wrote here in big bold letters, Mort is not perfect and has gotten worse lately with relations to the community. I wrote this in big bold letters because I don't want to skip this point. So I think that one thing that's important is that I think Mortdog has even said in his own video that he's not exactly he's not like free of responsibility or blame. Part of it is that they got to him, and I think he acknowledges that there's been problems with sort of his behavior in certain things, right? Like I think that the way certain situations have been handled in recent months is sort of a symptom of the buildup of toxicity that's been there, right? So if we were to use an analogy of a cup, Mortdog's vessel of shit taking is pretty huge, right? So Iniko's cup is like this 8-ounce can of Spindrift. I'm not sponsored by them, but if they wanted, that'd be great. Iniko handled 2 days of it, and it's like, you know what? I'm out. I'm full. Mortdog could handle like an entire cargo ship freight that no longer will be going to the U.S. instead of some other country. Those cargo ships that are going to some other country, because that's a different topic, he could handle a lot, and he's finally full. And so when he's finally full, you know what happens when you're overloaded? It falls off the wagon, right? And it starts getting everywhere. So I think what ended up happening is Mortdog snapped. He's tired of people who are both saying things aggressively and then passive aggressively, and then things that remind him of being passive aggressive. So the funny thing that I want to bring up here is because I want to say Milk is one of my closest friends in TFT. If he gets married, I expect that I'll be a groomsman type of thing. I would make my way to go out there. I wish nothing but happiness for this guy. This guy is pretty self-aware. He actually tweets, "Wait, Mortdog, F the haters, just keeping what you want to do." Someone tagged him immediately from an interaction in my chat where Milk is replying to a balance patch, the patch notes, and he's just ranting about how clueless they are. And then Mortdog just replies like, obviously like that. And it's like kind of joking, but I don't think Mort's joking. And I think this is where the boiling point has bubbled over, right? Because now I don't even know if Mort's joking. I definitely know Milk is not joking. And I think this kind of behavior is also not something that we want to encourage, right? Like, yes, Mort is great for all those reasons, but I also think that the temperature needs to lower because this is a result of aggressive, and then there's also the result of I mean, there's an infamous copy pasta circulating on social media where Mortdog replied to a tier list of a set of compositions from Dasic, and then has become a copy pasta. Do I see it somewhere? Where is it? Where is it? 1 second, give me a second. Yeah, he made a tier list of what he thought was good in the metagame. And then Mortdog, it's actually kind of an innocuous tier list, right? Golden Ox, best comp in the game. Rengar, only good with Jinx. Zeri, best items, Hollow Bow. Cho'Gath, amps are the worst units in the game. Joy emoji, hero augments are still mid. And then Mort replies, Dasic, I'm not sure what's going on, but like all your posts have a layer of toxicness that's not really helpful and should be a part of the community. He's talking about, by the way, that the toxicness should be part of the community because Dasic actually interpret this as like, it doesn't mean they're toxic and I shouldn't have a place in TFT. It's a miscommunication there. You clearly enjoy the game or you wouldn't be playing this long, but what makes you think that you need to communicate like this? You're a skilled player. I wish you would set a better example. I think if stuff needs change, let us know when you usually respond within the patch or two at most. And people loved memeing this. Speaking of Milk, my boy Milk. I mean, this dude literally is like copy pasting that into a bunch of tweets, right? Whenever someone tweets anything, he literally copy pasted it and translated to Spanish. And like whenever someone's like, I got day one, he just like literally replies, Michael, no estoy seguro de lo que está pasando, pero parece que todas tus publicaciones tienen un culpa de toxicidad que realmente no es tu. Like he's just like literally memeing it, right? Cool and fun 44 tournament you can play with the Disco. I'm not sure what's going on, but it seems like you're posted like he's like it's just like a full on meme, and understandably so. It was kind of if you take a step back and you're not pro Mortdog, you're not pro Milk or Dasic or whatever, it's pretty funny. it's a fire. I laughed many times. I mean, I think I liked that tweet actually because I thought it was funny. The point that I'm trying to drive at is that this should be the thing that we tunnel on. This is an example to go and show you how like up to here he's with it, right? Because literally, and I don't think I'm off base by this. I'm pretty sure what set Mort off was the laughing emoji. I'm pretty sure the one single joy laughing emoji set Mortdog off, right? That's to show you like how basically fed up he is with everything. He's tired of people making fun of TFT. He's tired of people making fun of balance and like calling Riot incompetent, right? Like I referenced this. They are actually clues, right? And there's many screenshots. I could pull up screenshots with other people who are saying things that are way worse. Right? Like there's people who just say like dog shit company, incompetent people, useless at your job type stuff. Just straight up abuse. And it's not cool to say that to somebody. And I would go out as to say, as much as your brave content creator, they're so cool for saying that, would not say that to Mortdog's face if they were in person. It's just childish energy for it's just tantrums. They wouldn't say it. They're saying it for the content. Right? I get it. I do that too. I overreact for the content. The reality is, I do think it's important that we recognize that. I think Mortdog has kind of lost his patience, and I think it bubbled over to his stream as well. I tune into his stream. I see him sometimes also get one guide, and sometimes there's one guy in a funny way, and then there's sometimes we can one guide where you're like kind of uncomfortable and you kind of want to move on, right? It's happened to everyone. It's happened to me. the whole point of what I'm trying to drive at is saying Mort isn't perfect. It's completely understandable why he's lost his cool, because having to deal with this on a daily basis is really wearing, especially because Mort works 7 days a week. You know, Mortdog doesn't really party. He's really different from a lot of other people at his gaming seniority. A lot of people like, I'm trying to beat around the bush because I don't want to like make it sound like it's about specific individuals or anything like that. But there's certain tech bro mentality that a lot of devs reach, where it feels like now they're the cool guys. They were like nerds growing up, right? And then when they become cool, like it happens to streamers and stuff like that, and a bunch of like basically when they get to a certain point of status or whatever, all of a sudden they become cool. So there's like a weird tech bro thing that happens to a lot of game devs. But Mort is like, well, you know, instead of going out and partying, I'm gonna go and argue with Milk about Zeri on Discord, right? Like he'll go do that. But I think also that is rough on the engine. It taxed him a lot. Let me read this, by the way. This was tweeted like as I was ranting. Could be a hot take, but Mort taking a step back from social media could actually be a good change. First of all, even though I disagree with Mort often, my respect for him is very, very high. His love and hard work for TFT is immeasurable. It was incredible how he sustained up with so much responsibility as the director of one of the biggest games and being faced with PR as well. Mort's great social media presence, covering a lot of problems with Riot Games, mostly communication issues, aka client being pretty much useless. Extremely hard system set to balance the game. I feel like Mort's step back will reveal a lot of Riot's problems, make us realize how much heavy lifting Mort has been doing the past years. Maybe become a priority change for Riot instead of why change, fix if Mort's already handling it's working. Game is coping that Riot will make a difference and change. He is. Riot won't change anything because I mean, I wrote it earlier in a Discord server. Let me go ahead and break this down. Nothing can change because company-wide policy, I think Mort is an exception, not the rule. They're not going to be like, well, Mort's gone, so let's fill up the gap of like people who will do extra work. So now, guess what? Let's go to Greg. Greg is the new social media manager at TFT, and they say, you know what, Greg? You work Saturdays and Sundays. You have to report on every bug possible, and also you have to localize it across every branch that we have, not just in the US, but you have to talk to our European offices, our China offices, people in Japan, Korea. You have to make sure you get on call with them and to sit through all those calls. And you have to relay things both internally and externally, and also you have to deal with like waves of harassment. Like no one's gonna want to do that. That's like I don't think Greg wants to do that. It's enough everyone accusing him of being bald on a daily basis. Now imagine that, but unironically trying to make fun of his appearance because Mort has to deal with all that. But he gets nothing. He gets nothing. Now you could be like, well, because then the whole point that people are pointing at is that Mort is benefiting from that financially. And that's true. And I actually agree with that. I actually do think that there is a conflict of interest that exists where Mortdog stands to gain a ton of influence. I don't know how much money he's making through content, but it's not zero. It's definitely a sizable amount. But I do think that trade-off is okay with me personally because of what we get from it. It's like in my opinion, I think it's a worthwhile exchange. But I don't think that Riot's going to be like, well, Mort steps away. Let's put someone else there to also be the piñata. And also, you know what? It's okay. You get some subs. It's totally fine. I don't think anyone wants to do that. Do I have anything else before I'm done with this yap session? Oh, when he comes back. Okay. I wrote down if/when he comes back. I hope he comes back. And I hope he comes back soon. I think that Mort needs to have stronger boundaries for himself. And obviously we, quote, need to be better. But here's an unfortunate reality. We won't. Because this is what it means to grow. This is what it means to grow as a player base. I think an unfortunate reality of the internet, right? There's a big faction that says just grow thicker skin, which is I think those people are probably the most dense, like the lowest IQ take I could hear, because when they're like just grow thicker skin is the same as just go first, just click their heads, just kick the ball through the net. Like it's just stupid. It's literally like the lowest IQ take you could possibly have. Just grow thicker skin. But the reality is we're not gonna actually get better because this is what it means for TFT to grow. Maybe it's unsustainable from the beginning. I think that's one thing that Keenan told me. He said, yes, Frodan, I hear what y'all are saying, but the reality is this is unsustainable. If TFT continues to grow, people are always going to act like this. And we can't have something anchored by one person, right? One person shouldn't be the point of bugs and patch notes and the way Mort has kind of positioned himself. And I argue like a single fault point is not healthy for an ecosystem, right? If Mortdog goes down and TFT ends up going down with him, that's a bad thing for the game. I can agree with that, and I think I can completely get behind it. But the reality is, this also, it doesn't mean that we can't mourn that we lost something special, because this was something that was unique to TFT. It was something that wasn't in part of other games. And maybe that's just what it means to grow up as a game. Maybe maybe TFT has truly made it. We have our own toxic morons. We have our own player base that becomes unwieldy, right? We have like that. With more communities is more idiots. Even if the idiot percentage is so small, like 0.01% or 0.001%, there are millions of players. That's still tens of thousands of idiots stuffing Mortdog's DMs and inboxes that are just saying hateful stuff, because the reality is there's always going to be monkeys. There's 100 monkeys, and we only have one silverback gorilla. Okay, Mort's not like a gorilla, but he can't, like, this whole debate. Okay, side note, this whole debate about 100 men versus like one gorilla is just ridiculous to me. But like because every simulation has implied that the gorilla loses after like 30 dudes, and Mort has tanked so much more than that. Like even 3-star 5 cost can't beat everything if you have enough of a vertical. Oh man, that was actually pretty profound. The reality is, okay, I just wrote 2 things that I want to say. TFT is better with Mortdog more involved, just straight up. We lose a lot. And the last thing is, we have one fewer adult in the room. I think that for me, on a personal level, this is just me speaking less about like on behalf of everybody and just for me. I feel like I'm gonna be more outnumbered. There's fewer voices of reason. It's funny when it's not the popular thing to do. In my opinion, I think yapping levels in TFT need to be a ratio. If it's only a Soju, it's only a Milk, it's only a Setsuko, it's only whoever else you want to put in, right? People who are very loud and very fun, but there's no balance to that, then it just becomes nonsensical screeching. And yeah, but like part of what makes things interesting for discourse is diversity of voices and opinions. One fewer adult in the room, and that scares me personally, because Mort existing allows me, like, if you think about a spectrum, there's Mort here, and who's the most extreme? Let's just put Milk, because we Milk, 1, doesn't care that I use him as an example, and 2, he's one of my closest friends. So there's Mort and Milk on the extreme. Because of Mort existing, that lets me be like here to here whenever. Sometimes I crash over here, but it allows me this range. But now we don't have any reference point. So who's the voice of reason now? Who's the adult in the room? Is it me? Like, I'm doing this career because I don't want to grow up, man. Like, why do I have to be that? Maybe not me. Maybe somebody else. It's you. Please don't let it be me. I punted to somebody older than me. Robin or Emily Wang. I'm down for them to be the voice of reason, but I'll do it. Okay, Greg. Thank you. But that's sort of where I'm at personally. I feel like I feel like I'm gonna have one fewer friend next to me throughout this journey, at least for now. He's gonna come back. He's not dead. He's still gonna work on TFT. He'll come back, I think. But if he comes back, it might not be the same, right? Someone wakes up from a coma. You're not sure if it'll be the same. Maybe more ends up having to be very PR and stonewalled, and like, you know, you should take that. That's true. You should take it with Riot. You know, he might just give us that. But yeah, personally, on my own emotional level, I'm deeply saddened because I feel like there's one fewer voice of reason, one fewer adult, and it feels like I lost a friend. I'm not sure exactly how else to describe it.